Hello everybody, I'm Lorenzo Marchessi and I'm here right at the beginning of this video we're about to watch to remind you to subscribe to my channel. It's very helpful if you do, and also please tell your friends, your family members, and share it if you can. Love to hear your comments and feedback, but just want to make sure you subscribe. Thanks for watching and we'll see you soon. Hello everybody and welcome back to another edition of the Geek Authority Show. I'm your host Lorenzo Marchessi, and this is the show where I get to interview all kinds of creative and talented people, be they actors, writers, directors, producers, cosplayers, musicians. I've had all kinds of music makers, things like that. And today I have a very special guest. I've known him for a while. I've seen him in several productions. He's an actor. He's a president. We'll get into all that. His name is Todd Andrew Ball. Hi Todd, thank you so much for doing the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So with all of my guests, I always start at the very, very beginning. And as when we do, I believe you're not a native of Los Angeles, which is where we are now. Mm-hmm. So where do you hail from?
I am a Midwestern boy. I was born in a small town in Illinois called DeKalb, Illinois, and lived there for most of my life before I moved to Chicago for a few years, then moved out here in 2001.
Wow. I'm a native Chicagoan myself, South Side. So do you miss, we've got to talk about Chicago a little bit. So do you miss the 40 below weather? Do you miss the...
Not at all. Not in the slightest.
The muggy summers, you know, it's 100 degrees and you walk outside and you're like, ugh. Okay, no. Cool. Did you go to school out there in Illinois?
Yeah, so in my hometown, I went to the local high school, and then I moved to the local college, Northern Illinois University. I did have a 2-year college at Kishwaukee College, which is a 2-year associate's degree I got prior to being at Northern. Okay. But that's where I got my degree, was in Illinois.
Okay, what did you study? What did you go into college for?
Acting and directing.
Really? So in high school, when did you get the acting bug? Where did you get that first?
Well, I got the acting bug through my parents. My parents, they weren't actors at the time. My dad sang in the choir at church, but they would go to attend theater at the local community theater, which is called Stagecoach Players. And it's through them doing that I got interested in the theater, where I got the bug first bit. And I auditioned for... As a child, I was in middle school, I believe, auditioned for Kurt in The Sound of Music. I didn't get cast. Oh. I was still very green, unfortunately. But it was a fun experience, and it was my first foray into the whole theatrical world.
So were you you said you were part of the chorus? Did you get
No, I didn't get cast in it at all. I didn't actually get on stage until high school.
And what was your first production?
It was a play in 1983 I did called David and Lisa. It was about a young man named David who was trying to remember all the story, but he was afraid of touch. It was a school for kids that had emotional problems. I played one of the teachers at the school.
Wow. And how old were you then?
1983. I'm very bad with math. So I was a junior in high school.
Okay, so you were a teenager playing a teacher, an educator.
Yeah.
Very.
That was when I first got my first time on stage ever, which was that show.
Now you mentioned auditioning for Sound of Music. Are you a musical person too? Do you sing? Do you dance and all that?
I do musicals. I have been in quite a few musicals. In fact, the show right after that was Guys and Dolls. I was Angie the Ox, one of the gangsters in Guys and Dolls, and that was a high school. My first high school musical.
Okay, so at what point I mean, obviously you got the bug, middle school, high school, and that kind of thing, and then you went to college for it. So, what would you say is your biggest early production that was like the most challenge for you?
Well, what's interesting is that the first show I did outside of high school was at the local community theater. It was my first, my third, my third production, my second play. I don't recall auditioning for it, but for some reason I got cast in a play called Murder Among Friends. And it was a play that takes place on a New Year's Eve with some friends. And it was my first, to me at least at the time, it was the first time I had a part. Like in the shows I just done, like Guys and Dolls and David and Lisa, it was small things, like 2 lines here, 3 lines there. But in this was my first chance to actually have like a full on scene with another actor and have to memorize more than a few lines. So that was a very big challenge for me as a young man growing up in the Midwest, having that opportunity to play a part like
Now,
that.
this was during the summer before college or during college or what?
This would have been between my junior and senior year.
Okay, in
So
college,
in high school.
high school. Okay,
So
so
I had not become a senior in high school yet. It's between the summer of junior and senior year.
did you do a lot of productions as far as when you got to college? Then did you do uh,
Yeah.
more
Um,
musicals? Did you ever do Shakespeare, that kind of thing?
Not in college. I did it. I didn't do a lot of Shakespeare until I moved out here to California. But
Okay, and
but yeah,
when did that happen? When did you move to L.A.?
I moved in 2001. One of my brothers was living out here, and I was just ready to kind of make a change in my life. You know,
Right.
I just, I'd done everything I wanted to do in Chicago. At least that's what I felt like. And so I wanted to just have a new experience, and of course, get away from the winter and the harsh summers in Chicago. But yeah, so my brother lived out here, so I moved out here and I found myself a place and started my life.
Wow. Okay. So when you got out here, was your goal to be, do more stage productions, be a film director? I mean, where did you? Because you said you took film too, right? Directing and all that.
Well, I didn't take film directing; it's just acting and directing for theater.
Theater.
Um,
Okay.
my major focus was more acting than directing, but you had to have that as a co major, acting with directing. So I did take some directing classes in college, but my focus was acting. And I moved out here to see what would happen, to see where things were. The reason I moved out here so late in my life was I didn't want to move out here with that concept that, because some people move out here and they go, I'm going to become a star, I'm going to make it. I wanted to come out here with some sort of realistic viewpoint, some sort of realistic goals, and well, let's see what happens. And if something happens, great. If something doesn't happen, I'm confident in my success as an actor and my talents that it doesn't matter.
Wow. Okay. So did you get an agent right away? Was that part of that plan, or did you just jump into
Not right
again?
away. No, no, not right away. In fact, I don't have an agent right now, but I did for a small percentage of time. I did have an agent. I did go to some commercial auditions for a little while, but they ran out of business, or they retired or something like that, and I lost my agent. So
Wow.
and I haven't really worried about that because, like I said, my focus has always been theater. If something to work out for film or TV, I
Right.
would openly welcome it. But
Yeah.
my first love is the theater.
Right. What interesting? We met you on one of the smaller theater productions out here in North Hollywood, and
Yeah,
then since then I've probably seen you in 10 or 12 productions all over
something like
different.
that.
Yeah, all over different theaters. So, and in fact, you're part of a couple theaters, correct? Or
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay, so we'll get into that. But I want to talk to more about the what was your impression of Hollywood when you moved out here, or the theater scene versus now, in terms of how it's now that you've been a seasoned performer.
I didn't have any perceptions before I moved out here of what it was or wasn't. I figured that it wasn't. Before, I guess the one perception I thought I had before I moved out here was that there wasn't as much theater here as there was in Chicago. That proved wrong to me, I guess, but because there is a lot of theater out here.
Quite a bit.
It's more than you think. But if you're from like Chicago or New York, which are mostly theater towns,
Right.
you're used to just that being the most of theater in the world because that's where that all is. It's Chicago and New York. But you move out here and then you realize there's more theater than you think, and that's what was exciting to me because it says there's opportunities out here.
Right. And what he's talking about in LA, the LA metropolitan area, there's all kinds of everything from little black box theaters. You know, they don't have big stages or big audiences,
Yeah.
but they do very unique or original kind of things. We have the Amazon, we have the Pantages, we have all kinds of big theater outlets.
Yeah.
And I think you've played in, I mean, from the Glendale Theater to all over the place. So
I actually did a show with Noise Within, so I've had a chance to work in many different places.
And they're out of Pasadena, right? Noise Within?
Yeah.
Yeah, Pasadena. Okay. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that. You tell us about the theater companies that you are presently with, and in particular, a title for one that I just found out that you became a part of their board.
Well, the first theater I became a member of was the Group Rep Theater. It was an interesting kind of story. I had auditioned for a show for them called Tiger by the Tail. And I wasn't a member when I auditioned. I got cast, and it was during that production that the option for a membership was presented to me. And prior to that, I never thought about a membership. I never thought about being in a membership theater before. Not for any bad reason, just because it never dawned on me. And so I said, well, let me think about that. And it took me a little while just to make sure that I was comfortable with the whole idea of what that meant. Not just for some like membership theaters have dues and things like that. So was I ready for all of that? Was I ready for this kind of opportunity? And I said yes. So I finally became a member of the Group Rep. And
can I ask real quick what you said you would touch base because you had to think about it? Is that because you didn't know all the members maybe, or is that because you didn't know how they operated?
No, I just wanted to make sure it was right for me.
Okay.
I think that you want to explore what that means for your own life. What's great about these membership companies that I'm involved in is, and one of the only concerns I guess I really had was, could I do shows other places? Am I only allowed to do shows here? And that was a fear that was alleviated right away. I'm like, because that would have been a deal breaker for me, because I love to do shows as many different places as I possibly can. And that was my biggest fear about, and I guess it was an unknown I had never thought about before. So I did a lot of soul searching for myself and just say, am I ready for, there are also duties and things that come along with being a member of a membership company too. So it's not like it's just, you want to be a part of a family. You're bringing yourself and you're offering yourself to a family of people, and you want to make sure that they want you as much as you want to be there. And it was a great opportunity for me, and I really am glad I became a member of Group Rep Theater. It's been a great opportunity for me.
Now let's flash forward to now. Let's hear what you're doing with them now.
So right now, we're kind of on hold, obviously, because of the pandemic. We're doing a lot of virtual productions and things, but
I'm referring to your involvement.
Pardon?
I'm referring to your involvement.
Oh well, since becoming a member, I've done a lot of things. One of the first opportunities I took over was what's called the new members coordinator. I help orientate new members to the theater when they audition and become new members. And then every year there are elections for the board of directors. And one year I ran for the board and I didn't get it. But then 3 years ago, I ran for the board, and not only did I get on the board, but I became president of the board. So I've been president of the board for 3 years running now. So I guess they like me.
I hope so. if they voted for you. So what does a president do of a theater company exactly? Is it?
Well, the board is responsible for the financial upkeep of the theater. We make sure that we're looking at how money is being spent and how much we're bringing in, and we help make decisions on the running of the theater. We make it in conjunction with the artistic director, who's Doug Haverty, and our executive director, Bert Emmett. We all work together to make sure that we're running the theater well.
Which I talked to both on the Geek Authority. So there's an interview out there with both of them. You got to check it out.
Great.
So I'm curious. You said last 3 years. So what was going through the board and your head as far as the 2020, the whole pandemic thing? How did
That has been the biggest challenge since I think bar none, and I can probably, it's been this way for most people. It's just been very challenging, and you feel for everybody because everyone's going through a whole different experience than you are, and yet you're all kind of going through this kind of shared experience of well, what do we do, and how do we maneuver through this whole process with the pandemic. And what I've loved about our theater and about the people is we've really come together. Like, Doug Haverty has been just phenomenal in helping to keep the theater running with grants and money coming in, which has been great. Applying for grants and things like that. Bert Emmett's been amazing. We have a really good team right now who's just worked together to make sure that we have a cohesive unit and keep the theater open.
Yeah, and another shout out to Doug because he's an amazing talent, visually, artistically, but he is quite the businessman. I mean, in terms of,
sure.
You mentioned grants.
There are things that he does that I don't know that I could actually do because I don't have the background or the mindset for it. But he amazes me to so many degrees on what he's been doing for the theater. So my shout out to him.
Absolutely. Yay. Okay, so I believe you're involved with a couple other theater companies?
Yes. So after becoming a member of theater, Group Up Theater, I had done a show over in Beverly Hills at Theater 40. And that's the one that's in the high school over there.
Right. And they also do the Greystone Mansion. What's it called?
Yep.
Remember the Mansion, I think it's called, right?
Yes. And they had membership auditions, and I auditioned for that, and they offered me a membership there, so I became a member there, and I also auditioned and became a member of Theater West.
Wow!
So I haven't been able to do as much with those other two companies as I'd like to have been doing because I think things have been really tied up with Group Rep right now, but I'm still actively, paying dues for both those theaters and trying to stay in touch with them about things. There was a show that was potentially going to happen at Theater West for me last year, but then the pandemic hit, so I haven't heard anything about it since then, so I can't say much. But it was a potential show.
For actors out there who aren't members of theater companies or considering the aspect of it, how do I phrase this? How do you determine whether, like you said, there are fees sometimes to join clubs and whatever? Yeah, what's a good advice to somebody? Because a lot of actors don't have a lot of money.
Well, we had the group. I mean, I don't know about other membership companies, but the Group Rep has opportunities for actors if they can't afford dues. We have what's called our participating actor program, PAs. And those are people who, instead of paying dues, in lieu of dues, they are just asked to crew on 2 productions a year.
Wow, that's nice.
And so that's in lieu of dues. So it's you can still do that and be in shows and do everything else you want to do, as long as you able to follow those rules.
And by crew, you mean say assistant AD, property,
costume, lights, sound, stage management, backstage crew. There's all sorts of.
So not only are you a part of this acting group to do your acting, but you're kind of learning a little bit of the craft behind the scenes. Wow.
Correct.
That's the group rep? How is Theater West? How is Theater 40?
I think that they run a lot differently, and I haven't been able to do much as with them. But they already I think they're dues only, and then you have to do other things like help with hosting or ushering and things
Right.
like that.
Ticket
But
taking, maybe.
yeah, but I haven't been able to do as much with them since I became a member
Right.
for those theaters. But
Are
I'm
dues
enjoy
are dues
having.
are dues generally expensive, or is there a range that they kind of?
There's a range, I think. I mean, the ones we pay for at the group rep are I think, fairly fair. I don't think they're too expensive.
Okay.
It just depends on the theater company and what
Do
their
you want to give a range for people who don't know, or do you don't want to say?
I mean, anywhere between 20 and $50.
And that's a month, right?
Yeah, a month.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm sure there's like you can pay 6 months or you can pay a year, like that kind of thing, right?
You could. You don't have to, but you could.
Okay. Okay. We'll dive more into that, but I definitely want to show the people in the world out there who this talented Todd is and share my screen. Do you want to? I'm assuming this is your headshot.
That's
Your
my current
calling
headshot.
card,
I need to get it redone, but yes, that's my current headshot.
the handsome devil there. Do you want to give a shout out to the photographer?
Well, Jamie is her name, and she's a very funny, talented actor in her own right. She had to move away, but she's a good friend. Still see her all
Oh,
the time on Facebook.
very cool. All right, here we go. Tell us about this.
So this is a production I did in Chicago. It's a very interesting story. I played Dracula. This is me playing the role of Dracula, if you
Wow.
want to know the truth. So it's not the Bram Stoker version. It's not the one that people see the play of. It was called Carfax Abbey: The Story of Dracula, and this scene was before the transformation to the vampire. This is him as a human, and that's his wife. So this is that's a moment with them there. But what's interesting about this story, and what's fun to relay is when I auditioned for this show, I didn't realize it was this version. I thought it was the other version of Dracula. And so when I went to audition for it, I was auditioning for the role of Renfield.
Oh.
This play only had 3 actors. It wasn't the other version. So there was Dracula, there was Van Helsing, and then there was Lucy, and she played both Lucy, the wife, and then Mina later on. So she played 2 roles. And it's very interesting. It's very interesting about the whole story is I think it's very interesting for actors in general is be open to all sorts of things. You never know what you're going to get. I mean, like I said, I auditioned. I thought they're thinking I was going to audition for the role of Renfield, and there wasn't a Renfield in the show, but I ended up getting Dracula, which was great.
Wait, is this a 2-act, 1-act?
2-act. I had in this play a bunch of really long monologues where I spoke to the audience. So that was quite a challenge for me because I basically sat there on a stool telling my story.
And for people who don't know, a monologue is basically a very long speech,
yes.
usually emotionally driven in some way.
Yes.
And you just mentioned a lot of them, so you had a lot of little showcases.
A lot of 4 or 5 page monologues.
Yikes!
Where I sat there by myself talking to the audience. This was one of the first professional things I did. I had a couple prior to this one, but this is one of it was at the dinner theater, and it's the musical A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. And
it's a hysterical play. The music is fun.
It's very funny musical. It's farcical. It's a lot of fun. And me and the gentleman to the far left, there's usually 3 of these guys, but they only cast 2 of us. So we were the Proteans, and we played all these different roles throughout the show, which was a lot of fun.
Right, and when you say professional and it's dinner theater, for those who don't know, apparently there's a lot of there's not a lot of them anymore, but it's basically where you go, basically have a 2 or 3 course dinner, and you get to see a show.
Yes.
Sometimes they center the show around the process of the eating, and then
Yeah.
other times it's just you sit and eat. Where
Yeah.
was this though? Where was this?
Well, this it was very similar to how we talked about Tony and Tina's wedding, where you go one place, you have the dinner, and then you have the show in a different location. So this was in Rockford, Illinois. I don't know if that this dinner theater is there anymore, but
Right.
people had dinner in a different location within this hotel, and then they would come to the theater and watch the show.
Okay.
This is over at the Group Rep Theater. This was a new play called A Dull Pain Turned Sharp. And this was a very emotional scene. I played Doran, whose boyfriend, husband had died. And this is me being very emotional about that. I don't know what this particular moment in the show was, but
Right. I love the photography really captures that moment too, the way you're describing it. So
yeah, it was a really nice show to do in terms of showing emotional range. And this is Tony and Tina's wedding. So so that was at Piper's Alley in Chicago. I think you know Piper's Alley.
Yeah? Oh yeah.
So for in a reverse aspect for the dinner theater, so they would have the wedding ceremony first, and then they would have the dinner slash other rest of the show during the reception of the theater of the wedding.
Right.
And I got to understudy the role of Joey, the brother.
Oh, okay.
So I got to go on for that role. So this is this is me when I actually got to play the role of Joey. I didn't play it every night, but
right.
I did play it twice.
This is one of those plays that actually can incorporate the audience as part of the audience.
Oh yeah, it's very much important for you to go. You need to go from table to table and make sure everyone is getting the full story. I also played Joey's boyfriend. Joey was a gay character, and he had a boyfriend who was the videographer. I played that. I was also one of the wait staff for a while. So it's fun because you got to play numerous parts.
And you're truly interacting with your audience. So
it was a lot of fun to get, and especially I remember when I would play Rick, the boyfriend, the videographer. I mean, I would flirt I would sit on men's laps. I would be, with their wives right there. It was a lot of fun because I was trying to help flush out the story so they knew who I was and knew the relationships and everything. So
right, and you do that, and part of that is it's mostly scripted, right? But you don't know how, right? Yeah, but you don't know how your audience is going to react. So you're kind of improvising based on when you sit on a stranger's lap and kind of going with the flow.
Your goal is to go to each table and make sure that you're saying, hey, Joey's not out to his mom, and she doesn't know I'm his boyfriend, and so on and so forth.
Right.
You're just trying to make sure they understand all the relationships, and then but everyone has their goal to each table. So yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit because you had mentioned the word to people who don't know, and then actors I'm sure do. But how would you describe the role of an understudy?
An understudy is an actor who's cast to potentially go on in a role that's that they weren't initially cast in. So when for Tony and Tina's wedding, I was cast as a wait staff initially, and then they said you need to be able to go on and play Rick or Joey if needed. So learn the lines, learn the choreography, learn all of their work, so that if for any reason that actor can't go on, you go in.
Yeah, and in some professional theaters, I believe when you go in like equity things like that, and you're an understudy, I believe isn't it in their contract that you get at least one performance as the character?
It's not always the case. Not always. We have that policy at the group rep, but it's not always the case. Sometimes you understudy and you never get to go on. It depends on the theater.
Oh.
I don't recall that it's a blanket across the board where you
and they usually do that for the leads, right? I'll double cast the leads kind of thing.
They will have understudies for the leads, and then probably some of the the second tier cast as well.
Right, and then I've known sometimes they've double cast a show because they know, say, A actress is going, away for 2 weeks, and B actress comes in and takes her place until she comes
Yeah,
back.
sure.
Yeah, so double casting is been done before.
Well, that's probably they call them swings for musicals
Wings.
because yeah.
Okay, and that's for
Especially-
musical though.
Yeah, mostly for like dancers too, because
Right.
your body gets goes through a lot in the performance. So
Oh, you have an
sometimes
injury. Sometimes you get injured. Yeah. Okay. I'm guessing this is Shakespeare.
No, it's not.
Uh-oh. What's this?
This was Wicked Lit. This is it was
Oh,
called
okay.
Wicked Lit. For those who don't know, is a company that does these live interactive audience fully ensconced performances of these short shows. They were being done at the Mountain View Mausoleum in Altadena.
Okay, let's let everyone know this is usually like a Halloween time.
Yes, Halloween. Yeah,
and it's the Los Angeles kind of thing that they how long they've been doing this for a while, haven't they?
Yeah, they've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
this was I think my second time working with them, where I was playing. I was playing Brother Percy. I was one of the for Walking Dead. Not Walking Dead. For Wicked Lit. Sorry, for Wicked Lit. This show is called Wake Not the Dead. That's why I said that. But for Wicked Lit, they have what's called these. They have these actors who interact with the audience directly, and they're storytellers. They help guide the audience around the mausoleum cemetery so they get to where they're supposed to go. And so I was one of those characters in this role, where I played a monk, a brother, who gets bitten by a vampire. And this particular moment in the show, I was having a cathartic moment of after having been bit. So at this point, I'd already been bit.
But you're wearing garlic. How did he bite you?
I know we answer that question through the show. So
okay, so basically, the audience at any particular time is being guided through performances like yourself on a story, and the story is like a through line, or
yeah. There's a whole story, and these characters are part of the story in that regard. We don't always interact with the other actors and there are other people who are doing scenes where the audience they don't pay attention to the audience. They're actually in a scene that you're watching, they're not aware of the audience being there.
Okay, when you're dealing with the audience, mm-hmm. do you have to do improv at all? Do they react to you or no?
You have to be prepared for any sort of interaction with the audience. Yes.
Oh,
yeah,
that must be fun.
What was fun with this particular one was the transformation from beginning to end, where I would lead them across to the cemetery where the final scenes were, and that's where I would change. I would have already got rid of the garlic, and I became a whole different character, vampire kind of character.
Oh, wow.
It was quite fun.
Okay.
This is also Wicked Lit. Yeah, this is also Wicked Lit.
A different show, right?
Yeah, different show, different year.
So every year they bring out these kind of ghost monster creature stories, and this sounds like a potpourri for actors to get involved with here. So.
It's a lot of fun, and everyone's wonderful to work with. I've always had a great time with this group.
Do you want to give a shout out? How does somebody get involved with Wicked Lit? Is there a website or?
Probably it's wickedlit.org, I think. Unbound Productions. You can do a search for Unbound Productions. I don't know what their status is right now after the pandemic, but
check it out.
Check it out.
Ooh, I love this picture.
Yeah, this was one of the last shows I did before the pandemic in 2019. Loose Knit over at the group Rep.
Right.
And
who's the actor?
That's Marie Broderick right there with me. And all my scenes took place in a sushi restaurant. Like I had 4 scenes. They all took place in the same location at different times on dates with different women in the show.
Wow. Well, you.
And I was quite the uh,
Uh
kind of I wasn't a good person in this show. I
oh.
was kind of
Oh.
a evil person in this, a
But
womanizer.
but you look so handsome. Look at you. You could be James Bond.
No, I was a rich brat womanizer is what I was.
Okay, there's Doug. I see Doug.
So yes, this is rumors
Yeah, I
over
saw
at
this one.
yeah. This was a lot of fun. Farce rumors. I got to actually do this show with my husband Hisato. He was in this as well. Played my husband in the show. It was fun. Neil Simon's one of those go-to shows that's fun to do. You can't go wrong with Neil Simon.
Absolutely, and you can go over the top, and it just seems so natural in it too. So, um,
Yeah, for sure.
I'm just curious when you're doing these kinds of comedies, and there's a lot of door and exits and entrance and all that kind of thing. Is rehearsals do these take a little extra rehearsal to do that, the timing and all that?
They do. They do, especially if you have a lot of doors to deal with. My particular character didn't require that in this particular show, but there were some people that did have more in and out door situations than I did. But yeah, those take time to
And
choreograph,
I
especially when you don't have the set right away.
right, and I remember Hisato being very colorful. And
Yes,
you can tell him I said that. Okay, this looks like Perot.
yes, it is. This is at the Santa Paula Theater Center. I did 3 shows up there. This being one of them. This is called Black Coffee, and I was cast as Hercule Poirot, and I got to
Okay,
spend my summer solving this mystery every night.
um, tell everybody who Perot is, just so for those non-British
Uh,
people.
it's Agatha Christie. If you're familiar with Agatha Christie, the playwright, the writer, she created 2 very well-known mystery solvers. One is Miss Marple, and one is Hercule Poirot. In fact, from what I recall, this is one of the only plays that Hercule Poirot is in.
Oh, really?
They have a few. They released a few plays for Miss Marple, but there aren't very many with him. This is one of them.
Wow, didn't know that. Okay.
This is California Suite. Uh, I did that a few summers ago. It was a lot of fun.
This is group rep.
No, this. Oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank on the name of the theater. It's should know. I don't
Yeah, this
remember
is
the name.
Neil. This is Neil Simon.
Yeah,
Um,
Neil Simon, California Suite.
yeah, and I love the set there. I love the whole the kind of
It
what do you
was
call
it was a very beautiful set.
it?
Um,
The wall is split to show the 2 rooms.
yeah, it
Very
was a
clever.
really well done set. Very, very,
Do
very
you want
well
to
done.
give a shout out to this actress?
Yeah. She played my ex-wife. If you know the California Suite, this is Melody River. Melody. She played my ex-wife, and we were the first of all the vignettes that were on stage. So once we did our vignette, that was it for me in the show because we only had that one scene. But
Nice.
yeah,
All right.
this is the Games of Foot over at the Glendale Center Theater. I played. I didn't play. I played Sherlock Holmes, but I also played the actor who played Sherlock Holmes. And this was a moment in the one sequence at the top of the show where I actually had the Sherlock Holmes hat on, but it was a farce. It was
Right.
a farce.
It's an actor being Sherlock Holmes.
Yes.
Right. And
It was a lot.
who are you with? Who is that actress?
Her name is Sarah Dorner.
Sarah Dorner. Okay.
She was really fun. This is Cat on a Hudson Roof over at the group rep. This is my second show over there. I was playing Gooper, the brother to Brick, in that.
Very intense play, very intense production.
Yeah.
I remember it. Okay.
This is another Agatha Christie piece, The Secret of Chimneys. And there I am on the floor.
Yeah, is that you or is that makeup there?
No, that's not my actual facial hair. That's all makeup there. I played Lemoyne.
Okay.
It's a mystery, so I can't really tell you too much. But it was a fun show to do.
Agatha Christie, you want to give a shout out to some of the actors here? Who they are?
Daniel Lynch, there to the left with the gun. There's Lee Grober, who's got me by the coat.
Collar, yeah.
Bruce Nelson to his right, and Michelle Bernath back in the background there.
Very nice. Oh, I love this play. I think we saw this twice.
Yeah. Bach at Leipzig.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's me with Lloyd Peterson.
Right, and tell a little bit of the story here. This was kind of clever, actually.
About the show?
Yeah.
Well, it's about all these composers trying to vie for, head composer over in Leipzig, and it's a farce. It's kind of like what would happen if kind of situation, and it's a very funny timepiece.
And that actor.
Pardon?
That actor there?
Lloyd Peterson.
Lloyd Peterson. Oh my God, I've seen him in several productions. And he was an absolute hoot playing this. Who is he playing? Is he?
Oh gosh, I didn't know the name of the characters.
He's one of the composers, and he's very colorful.
Oh yes, we are both very flamboyant, colorful composers in this piece.
Complete with attitude. It was hysterical. So, now this one, I believe you were nominated for an award.
Yeah, for the Valley Center Theater Award. Yeah.
Okay. What is this?
This is Lone Star. It's the companion piece to the other show. It's 2 one-act plays, Laundry and Bourbon and Lone Star. Laundry and Bourbon is 3 women, and Lone Star is the 3 men. Two of them whom actually have are married to 2 of the women in the earlier piece. This is a little.
What do you play? What's your character?
Cletus.
And what's your character? What is he? What's his story?
Well, the story is these Nick and RJ play brothers, and Cletus is the guy in town who nobody likes. He's got a rich father who owns the local store, and he comes into the back of the bar where these 2 are to let them know that he crashed Nick or Roy's car. His beautiful.
And who are the actors? You want to give a shout out?
That's Nick and RJ.
Nick and RJ.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, this is the absolute first production I saw you in. This was in North Hollywood. I remember it clearly.
Yep.
Tobacco Road. It was very gritty, very I don't know what
Depression era piece. Yeah.
Okay, and you're playing?
Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank on the character's name.
What your character was? Not some, you have to remember his name.
Huh?
What the character was?
So he was a local guy who came by to this family. He was after the girl, one of the daughters, not this one, but the other one. They had 2 daughters, and he was after that one daughter, and they would only give her this one.
Right. And I don't know if you remember. I don't remember. An actor's doing a good job. I don't know if you remember this, but after the show, I was like, I got to remember your acting because I didn't like your character at all. I was like, that's when you do a good job, is when you're like, you're not a nice person. And then you got to remember, okay, he's acting. He did his job, and you don't like him for a reason. But no,
Right.
that was intense. You like playing
Brad,
parts? Do you like playing parts
pardon?
like that?
I like playing all sorts of roles. I think it's very interesting. One of the reasons I love acting is exploring the human condition, different types of people, good and bad,
You
flawed.
find you find good and bad easier, or one or the other, or
It's more depending upon how flawed that character is. There's some things that you are concerned about, but you have to find something there that you can relate to. Why are they the way that makes what makes them that way? I mean, just going back to playing Dracula, why, what he was going through, what made him that way, what could possibly allow that person to get to that point
right?
where this was the only course they could take.
Right, and I've had several actors tell me that it's harder to play a good character, a good guy, because you got to find all those nuances, as opposed to the bad guy, where you can, depending on your director and your production, you can sink your teeth into having,
Yeah, well, it's important. Like even if you're playing what you call a good character, everyone has their flaw. So you want to make sure that you're being true to the action of the play, whether you're what's called a good character or a bad one, because you want to make sure that you're connecting um, with what the intent of the play is supposed to be, as well as the other actors on stage, and you want to make sure you have all those nuances with
right.
that.
Wow. Okay. I think this is the last one. I believe this is Man of La Mancha.
This is Man of La Mancha. This is the first time I did. I've done it twice. I actually worked on the show many years prior to this backstage for a production, but this is my first time in the show in 2005.
And you are
I'm one of the muleteers.
okay. Did you sing?
One of the
You sing and dance in this as well?
this isn't less this isn't much of a dancing show, but yes, there's choreography, but it's not quite dancing.
There's a little bit. There's a little bit.
There's a little bit
Okay.
of dancing, but not a lot.
All right. So let's go on to, for people want to know, we've talked about some of this. Some of the websites you had given me. This is actually the Group Reps site. Um,
Yep.
anything we should look at here on this page, or
Just keep an eye on stuff that's going on with the company. Like we got things coming up on the virtual stage. We're hoping to have things coming soon with the pandemic and reopening. We have we're looking to do an outdoor production in the parking lot this summer.
yeah, Doug told me about that. They're kind of
Yeah,
thinking about
and
doing
then
that.
and the season that was supposed to be we did In My Mind's Eye was the first show of that season, and that when that opened and closed as it was supposed to, but nothing else happened after that. The show after that is London Suite, which they've been rehearsing. We're hoping that we can reopen and do a big grand reopening in September or the fall at some point.
Right. You have to wait for all the CDC and the government, right?
Exactly. We're trying to make sure we're compliant with all of that stuff. But we got a virtual stage. We have things happening there as well. On Hidden Figures is one of our recent pieces. I'm actually in one of those pieces.
Now, does that mean it's a virtual Zoom kind of thing, or
A lot of it was done via Zoom. Yeah.
okay? And on the Group Rep, there's your own
Yep.
page.
Yep. There's my bio on the group rep page.
Nice. Okay, then we have Theater 40.
Theater 40.
Anywhere we should look here, or what's going on?
I'm probably on in the company. If you go to the company, there should be like my bio and headshot there too.
Company, the company, members. Okay. Um,
I presume I'm there.
let's see. Are they alphabetical? I hope. I hope.
I don't know
Nope.
if we've been updating it.
We'll find you. Ah, Kristen. I just interviewed Kristen. Phil. I know Phil. I interviewed Phil. There
There
you
I
are.
am.
Yay! Let's circle him. Yay! Okay. Then there's Theater West, which I've interviewed
You're West.
many people from this company. Um, are you here too? Members? They don't do women.
I should be.
Let's see.
Members. Oh, members headshots? Probably.
Uh oh. It's for I guess members means members.
That's,
Um,
that's
oh,
members
okay.
only.
Oops.
Members headshots.
There we go.
There I
Okay.
am.
Oh, there you are. Todd Ball. Do you go by Todd Andrew? And or how do
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, I actually haven't checked for this before, but yeah, I should let them know that I use my full name for.
Todd Andrew, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, this is a page that we talked about before we started that I don't know. You said you weren't aware of. It's the All About Actor. That's Todd Andrew Ball, and it kind of looks like it goes into. Do you remember being the assistant director on the Chinese Wall?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and what theater was that? Lonnie Chapman.
That was group rep, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, North Hollywood. Heaven Can Wait. I remember Heaven Can Wait.
Mhm.
The Guardian. Tiger by the Tail.
Yep.
How do you say your character's name? Slocum?
Slocum.
Yeah. Cat on the Hot Tin Roof.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't list your character.
No, it doesn't.
Sacred Fools. Have you done a lot with Sacred Fools?
Well, I did. It was at the Sacred Fools Theater, but it was for the Hollywood Fringe for 2016. So I wasn't. It wasn't an actual show by the Sacred Fools Theater.
Oh, okay. Witness for the Prosecution. That's a good play. There's Wicked Lit, 2017.
Mm-hmm.
What's a dull pain turned sharp? I don't remember
That's
that.
that show that we that you had the picture of where it was all kind of brown and black.
Oh,
Where I
okay.
was sad. Yeah, that's that show.
There's the Chinese Wall again.
Mm-hmm.
So you actually worked on the show behind the scenes, and then you went on to perform in it.
Yes.
Very cool. So you were very familiar with the show.
Very familiar. Yes.
Rumors, The Secret of Chimneys. Yeah. So yeah, that was kind of.
I'm very curious about this website. I'd never seen it before, and I wonder if I should go there and update things.
Yeah, I didn't know you were not aware of it. And here's IMDb. Everyone has an IMDb. Even I have an IMDb. And let's see what we got here. Book of Secrets, 9 Lives, and We Love. What is that? We Love Coach. TC.
We love Coach TC.
TC. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's a TV series.
We love Coach TC.
Yeah. Huh. Are these things available? Amazon Video, Disney Plus, anything like that?
Not that I'm. Well, I mean, I think 9 Lives maybe. I don't know. The Book of Secrets was done, and I don't know if it's been released to the public, but that was a fun piece to work on. I got to work with people I met through Wicked Lit on that, which was great.
Okay. I think one more thing I have is
9 Lives. I was just more of a background person in it.
Okay, and here's your Instagram where people can find you and ask you questions. And here's you were nominated for the show. A couple of these pictures I noticed on here. I've shown them. Very cool. What's this one here?
Mm-hmm. That was a show called Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and that was in Chicago. I did it 3 or 4 years in a row. It's based on that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer claymation kind of stop action.
Rankin Bass, yeah.
Yeah, it's based on that, but it's more of an adult late night version of it.
Oh, is it racy?
So it was fun. It was a little racy.
Ooh, well,
it wasn't for kids. Let's say that.
Why was Rudolph a bad boy? No, just kidding.
Rudolph just liked to dress in women's clothes. That's what
okay.
And I played Herbie the elf, and I was not gay enough for the other elves.
You were not gay enough. Okay. Did you? Was
Yeah.
Herbie? Did you want to be a dentist still?
Well, sir, someday I'm going to be a dentist.
Okay. So
It was fun.
we got we got a little look of your past and your present and all what you're doing. I'm curious. People watching this, I get a lot of actors and wannabe actors, or people that are considering, do I want to do this kind of thing as a career or try it? What advice do you give somebody who wants to go on stage or make this attempt at a possible career?
Well, one of the things that I think I've learned over time is one, you're not always going to get everything you go out for, so don't take it personally. Two, keep trying, keep going out there. You never know. You could be auditioning for one thing and get something else. I've been to many auditions where I knew I wasn't right for something, but I wanted them to see me, and I wanted them to know that I was there, just in case that maybe if they didn't cast me in this role, maybe I could get that one, even if it's a smaller part. I just keep putting yourself out there and keep trying, because you just never know what opportunity it will give you.
Right, because I've heard it from several actors that you got to have thick skin. Rejection is part of the game,
Mm-hmm.
and you treat each one as like a stepping ladder.
Sure.
Don't hold it personally. But how do you feel about audition pieces? Do you have any advice on what kinds of pieces to do and what casting directors seem to lean toward? I mean, does everyone do Hamlet's speech, or is there other things?
You know, I it's been so long since I've actually had to pick an audition piece for something, because a lot of places, which I prefer, actually do what's called cold readings, where they give you a scene from a script and you read off of somebody else, whether it's another actor or just someone in the casting room. I usually prefer those kind of auditions, because you still have to prepare, you have to be ready for anything, but you actually get an opportunity to show them what you can do with that role versus doing a monologue from something else and
Right.
hopefully that getting a callback for that. I've always just enjoyed the cold reading part.
Yeah, some people have talked about cold readings too. And as far as doing a cold reading, um, how did the advice that I was told, or that some of the actors have said, was you need to go in there and make it big, because it's easier to, I guess, tone down than to bring out if you're trying to do a character. Is that good advice as
Well,
far?
that's part of what you could do. Also, what I like to do is, if I get a chance to read the script prior to the audition, is always a very good thing to do, because you get an idea what the show is about, what the character is about. But one other thing I always think about is making more than one choice. So a lot of times you have a character, you could say this is the only way to do it, but that's not really the truth. There's sometimes more than one way to read something, and be prepared, because the director will want to see if you take direction. And if you have maybe thought of two or three other options for how you're going to read the scene, then you're more prepared than someone else who may
Right.
just think that there's only one way to play it.
In the case of a cold reading, though, you don't get to see the play or see the project. In fact, sometimes you get sides that have nothing to do with the project to see if they're, try to emote a character or something that they're looking
Mhm.
for.
Sure, sure.
What do you do then?
Again, you take what information is given to you on the page, and you go, what do I think this character is about? There's usually there's usually in the script some kind of idea of what the character is, and you just take that and you go, I could play this with an angry kind of tone, or I could play it with a very suspicious or cautious tone. There's different things you could do to up the ante in terms of what is possible, because you never know what the director is going to say. Why don't you try this, or why don't you try this? You need to be good at taking direction from a director who may ask you to do something even off the cuff, just to see if you take direction well.
Wow. Is that common? Do a lot of directors do that?
um I would say it's fairly common that I don't know that happens all the time. Sometimes a director doesn't want to deal with that process, and they just kind of go with the first thing you see, but you just have to be prepared for it.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Before we close out here, I always do a little last round of questioning for all my guests, especially if they're actors. So I'm just going to ask you a couple questions about your favorite things. So take a moment to
Okay.
think about it because you're a theater actor. So I'm going to keep all my questions regarding theater. Do you have a favorite musical to see, not necessarily be in?
Um, yes, I have a couple actually. My favorite musicals are Man of La Mancha. I love Sweeney Todd,
Ooh,
not because of my name in it, but just because I think it's a great musical.
yeah.
Um,
Andrew Lloyd Webber. Yay.
exactly. I love Little Shop of Horrors. Um,
Oh,
very,
Alan Menken. Wow.
those are
Okay.
some of my favorites.
Do you have a favorite comedy?
Uh,
You've done a couple, Neil Simon.
yes, there's one comedy that I love that I have never had the opportunity to do, but I've always enjoyed watching it. I've auditioned for it before, I never got cast. It's called The Foreigner by
Huh?
Larry Shue, and
Okay.
I think it's a really funny piece. It's very appropriate for what's going on in the world with the topics, but it's also very funny and touching at the same time.
I'm a big fan of Neil Simon, so you've done a lot of his. So, but one of my favorite pieces to see on stage, as far as comedy, have you ever seen a production of Noises Off?
Yes, I did it. They did it at my college back in the day.
It's one of
I
my
really,
favorites.
I
It's
would love to do that show.
I think you'd be great for a couple of the characters, but
Yeah, it's a very funny show.
it's a great ensemble too. Wonderful, if you get a good team going anyway.
For
Okay,
sure.
how about a favorite Shakespeare?
So
Uh oh.
I've only ever, I'm not, I love Shakespeare. I'm not like one of the, I'm not like a Shakespeare person in that regard, but I do love some of it. I've always liked The Taming of the Shrew. Um, I did the only Shakespeare play I ever did was Much Ado About Nothing.
And that's my favorite comedy of his.
Yeah, that was fun to do. I enjoyed being in that.
Yeah. But I think drama for him, I always lean toward Hamlet. So whatever.
Uh,
I'm old school. Okay, how about a favorite drama of yours?
um, do
I'll
I
give
have a
you a
favorite
little. I,
drama?
one of my favorites is 12 Angry Men. I've always loved that. I've loved A View from the Bridge. I love those kinds of dramas.
I mean, I love The Crucible.
Ooh,
Um, I love some Arthur Miller, some good Arthur Miller, Death of a Salesman, The Crucible, those things
right.
like that.
Very cool. Wow. Okay, so this has been exciting for me. So much fun. Hopefully, you had just as much fun. Any
I
final
did,
words? Any closing words to everybody you want to part with?
you know, we know hopefully theater's coming back very soon, so please get out there and support.
Get,
We
get your
we can't
vaccinations, though.
wait. Get vaccinated, stay safe, but we can't wait to have people back in the seats and perform for people. So get out there. There's been so many theaters that had to close because of this, and
Quite a
they're
few.
not coming.
Yeah, quite
So
a few.
support those theaters that still are out there and plan on reopening and want to bring you live entertainment because it's a very important thing for the community.
Absolutely. Wow. Well said. Okay, sir. This is, like I said, this has been a great opportunity to speak with you. I'm so excited. I haven't seen you in such a long time.
I know it's been a while.
It has. And Michael says hi. Say hi to Hisato, too.
Will
Um,
do.
Yeah, seen him in several productions as well. But if you haven't yet, somewhere on the screen, there's a button that says subscribe. Not only do I have the Geek Authority show, which is what you're watching now, but just to let you know, I have a couple other projects that shows that are on my YouTube channel. TGA's Mysterious Chamber of Collectibles. That's where you go into my literally closet, look at things that I've purchased over the years, and some really cool stuff. I also have my Unboxing the Geek Authority, which is a show where I actually get new things, unbox it for the first time. You see it, I see it for the first time. So my reactions are genuinely real, and I end up playing with them, so it's so cool. I also have TGA's Reviews, Opinions, and Commentary, where I actually talk about subjects that I like, subjects that I don't like, and let you know what's out there as far as things you might want to look for or stay away from. I also have TGA's Talk About show, where I gather family and friends, and we talk about various subjects, including old TV shows like Space 1999 with Martin Landau and Barbara Bain, all the way through to oh my God, Cobra Kai, which is the new Netflix series, which is getting great reviews and so on and so forth. Also, my brand new show, it's called Making Entertainment. That's where I go behind the scenes of a project, a theater production company, a Zoom project, whatever. We talk about the project before it's released, so you kind of get to know what it's about, how it's put together, kind of an informational thing for those who want to go behind the scenes on movies, TV, stage, Zoom projects, or film as well. So again, once again, thank you so much, Todd. This was a great time. I appreciate it so much. Definitely want to see you on. Absolutely, want to see you on stage again, and you'll let me know what's going on when you do, Mr. President. Do I have to salute because you're president?
No. But I saluted back just in case.
Okay, so thanks everyone for watching, and let's tell everyone goodbye. Thanks. See you next time.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching.